Okay, we're getting back on this bike again. More waiting to get parts, pieces, and me to work on it. Okay, when I left off last, I was filing the splines on the shaft to make this go on and off. So now it comes on and off like it's supposed to. So we did on that. You take this file and you go down each side. See how the spline is shaped in there? If you look at how the spline is shaped, you get a V angle like that and like this. So you got to file it from this way and you got to file it from this way. The basic is kind of hold it flat at the angle that you want to be at and put pressure on that one side and try not to run the radius into the other side. Of course you are a little bit, but you do what you can. So a knife type file would work better than a half moon, but that's why they call it a half moon. But use what you got. So this is a nice sharp file, so it'll cut the hardened shaft here fairly good. They're not super hard, but they are fairly good material. So we got it to fit on there finally. Pull the grease on there to make it a little bit easier to go on also. So we wound up getting the offset adapter we needed. So right now we have one washer in here. That seems to work pretty good. Now these bolt together, which I'm not doing yet. I'm trying to figure out our offsets here. So when I left off last, I think I figured that out. But whether that made video or not, I don't remember. So this doesn't go on every spline, it goes on certain ones. See, that one doesn't want to go on. Nope, it's tight. There it goes. Try a different one. That one works. We use that one. Okay, so now we're back. Another tool. Pull the straight edge. I eyeballed it before, looked pretty close. So you can come off the distance from here to the inside of here and from here to the belt. So you got the belt lines right there and that one's there. You can also put a straight edge up on here and see if it lines up. I think it's kind of loose right now, but it kind of lines up. You can also go on the outside here and look at the gap between here and there and the gap between your pulley. Of course the pulley's not staying where it belongs right this minute. So you can see you got about a ½ inch there. You got a good ½ inch here. So there's a little bend in it which fits in here real nice like that. A straight edge like that, and hopefully it lines up over here. Now this could be cheated quite a bit because there's no hard stop here. So if you come off the outside edge like that and let it drop down, you can see how we're pretty close. So I could probably come out maybe 30 thou where you want to be, but not until everything's bolted in. You want to play around with that stuff. It's better for the belt to be a little bit too far in than it is to be too far out. But there is a fudge factor in there. So if you want to make this washer in here slightly thicker, you put a thicker one in there. Have a whole bag full of them in here, all different ones. So take out what you want. Now they had this one in there. They had this in here too someplace. So that's a new one. That looks like a new one. This is the factory. You want to see it's kind of ground. This is just raw. But this one's slightly thicker than that one. Doesn't go on there because it's not made to go there. Bigger holes. See? So like so, we can figure out which one you want. I'll play around with that here in a little bit. So. Yeah, there it goes. It's going to get just right. So this has screws and dowels that go in it. I'll give you 3 screws, I'll give you 3 dowels, and 3 lock washers. Now for some reason they make this where you have to take this on and off a few times. Now, see, that spacer is different than this spacer. So this is a 1-inch offset. And that's a regular one, which is like a 1/2 inch offset probably, and not quite that. And that's the one that comes with the kit. This one you gotta buy extra. So this didn't work. This one here does work when it goes on the splines. And you put that on there. Boom, boom, boom. Now the nut, instead of using a regular nut, you use recess nut that goes way in. It's in there. And this is also made to go over the end of a spline. So if this is sticking out higher than the spline, or I should say the splines are sticking out more than this, and this nut's cut away to clear the splines a little bit. Goes like that. This is supposed to push on the inside of this edge. On a regular nut that's flat, if you push on the inside of the edge here, but these splines are sticking out further, then you tighten up against this. So basically you tighten this nut against there, and this is loose. When that happens, this all gets eaten up. It makes a rattling noise. So this one here, they do two things. They cut it away so you can't screw it up, basically. But it also cuts away thread, but obviously there's enough thread. So and that cuts down the area a little bit for your torquing, so you start eating that area up a little bit. But yeah, it works all right too. These splines cause all that wear on nuts anyway. So this one here actually takes an American socket, which is nice. This thing here, you can tell by the country of origin of the material they made it from. It ain't US. It ain't metric either, in case you were wondering. So these are your American socket. You got 1.25 inches. Just doesn't quite make it. And next one up is 5/16. You can see how loose it is. Got probably 45 thou clearance in the thing. So when you tighten up with that, see it just rattles, boom, 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 back and forth, and eats it up. This here's a metric socket, which you think would be the one that would use, because American doesn't work. And guess what? Metric doesn't work either. It's closer than this one, but it just doesn't quite fit in there. This is, I think, 32 millimeter. Yeah, 32. So unless they make a 33 millimeter socket, which they might, who knows. So you see how that one tries to go and just doesn't fit. So the quality of the material out there that they're making this stuff from is pretty poor. They take a big piece of bar stock, they put it in a screw machine and they cut the thread in there. They bore a hole, cut a thread, and face it off, and spit out another one. And that's how they do it. So it's all just cheap-ass material. Instead of actually making the stuff right, they use whatever they got. Pretty crappy. Good thing we're not using that one. This one here looks like the one that goes on here now. I didn't try it yet to make sure. Look at what it does. Look at those threads. Nothing like precision, huh? Jeez. Not very good. And this one, though, is actually goes in American socket. It fits. A little loose, but it fits. It's about normal. See this one here? Same clearance, see? Alright, so those are the two sockets we're going to use. Okay, what else we need to go over here? Still don't know why this doesn't engage when I pull on it. Because the starter motor's still hooked up. I never disconnected the battery. Maybe the battery's dead. We still have to deal with this tensioner that's buried down in here. I'm not sure how we're going to get into that. See now it's behind the frame. It looks like there's a bolt head there, and it might even be a hex head, which would be a miracle. We'll see. Okay, so for now we're going to go ahead and do this. The thing you want to make sure is you got about a 1/16 of an inch gap in here at minimum. So it looks like we got the minimum in there. You can be between 50 and 100 thou works. You know, probably 80 is about ideal, but close enough. This one actually fits pretty good. Alright, so let's see, where do we leave off? I think that's about it. Let's put this thing together and see what it looks like. Now, there's a reason why they don't bolt these together, but I don't know what it was. Sometimes you got to take these things apart to tighten the nuts up. But not on this one. This one fits. And it's high enough to clear the hardware on the inside, so you don't have to take this apart. And usually there's like a guard on here that keeps the belt on, but I'm not seeing that either. The video doesn't use that. See, this is a guard. It's actually a guide, same thing. Anyway, the belt hits against here and doesn't eat on it, and it keeps it from sliding out. Goes like that, except it doesn't fit on this bike. No fit. So I gotta look at instructions, see if they're supposed to have one in there. It's looking like no. Instructions. See, there's something laying there on the floor, but we didn't get the. Here's all the different offsets they got. Well, there's no pictures of it, so it must not be important. So, who knows what they want me to do? I'm guessing they don't have guards or guides. I guess the belt's supposed to stay on there by itself. Let's do what the ring gear is for. So the ring gear is going to be your guide to keep them from falling off. And then you got to look to see what that does. Our installation here. So if it comes all the way out to the outside edge, we need to move the pulley out quite a bit. Instead of being made like a real bike. See, normally the guide sits right in there like that, up flush. Ooh, look what I found over here. Missing parts. Ah, much better. I like that. Because when you have this as the guide here, it likes to chew up belts. Good deal. And one thing I want to look though to make sure is the pulley and this the same width. There's a difference in there, see? So, see, they're using, the belt should be out to the edge of the ring gear, not the wear marks, not the clearance cut. Okay, so that's going to change my dimension slightly also. So all of this stuff you got to kind of look at before you bolt it together. Obviously it's not the right spline. Find the one that fits. I could mark it, but that takes all the fun out of it. Okay, so that goes there. That goes inside of that, so that means that can be made full tight. This is the inner one that goes over here. The belt goes in between, see? So what I got to worry about is this here all has to line up. Make sure it's all the way in. Put your finger against this, and that should be right against the guide over here. See, right now it's bending it in a little bit. Watch the front. So it's moving over about 40 or 50 thou. So that means that washer needs to be a little bit thicker than we got back there to bring it out where it needs to be. They add that in there, which is way thick. Okay, so this is too thick, too thin. We need a thicker one. Those are too thick. Okay, let me go through all these. I'll be right back.